in the sense that how people have spoken loudly and clearly with regards to some areas of dissatisfaction. And as a party, we need to double down and make sure that we're able to obviously deliver those who voted for us as well as those who didn't.
Of in terms of addressing the challenges in Nigeria, we have challenges of insecurity, we have unavailability of healthcare, and our standard of education has dropped to the extent that lecturers go on strike months on end. Where do you want the president? We're also talking about epileptic power supply. This is a situation that Nigerians are already getting used to. In fact, Nigerians are used to. So what area will you want the president to hit the ball rolling?
To be honest with you, at this stage, I think one of the things that's paramount for us is the economy. So it's important to get a team immediately to start to review and start to plan. We've never really had projections. We've never really had a blueprint for how we want Nigeria to be over the next 10 years, over the next 15 years. We need a team to come together and actually create a proper blueprint for Nigeria, a real plan, an APC blue that whoever wins afterwards can also continue after 8 years. I think the economy would be the first bane of contention, simply because it affects everybody, regardless of if you're a student or if your mother's at home, or affects everybody. So it's important that I think we zoom in on the economy. And obviously, you need to know that people can do things simultaneously. Focusing on one thing doesn't stop you from doing other things, please. So I think it's time to set up different committees. It's time engaging our best minds. One of the things we haven't really done so well is put round holes in round, or round pegs in round holes, and square pegs in square pegs. We need to use the right people. We need to not shy away from intelligent people. It's one of the worst things that Nigerian governments generally have always done, where positions are given based on psychophancy and being around and being able to lobby. We need to actually headhunt the right Nigerians who are capable of delivering, the best for the country. So I think that's the stage we're at now. I'm also extremely excited that this administration is being led by His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu, because I'm a great mind, and likewise His Excellency Kashim Shettima, because I know they can recognize, it takes mind to recognize a great mind. So I know they would be able to identify the right caliber of Nigerians. I would say to them, honestly, engage more young people. One of the reasons why we didn't do so well in the just ended elections was simply because, you know, the youth were rebelling. We have to be realistic. They are tired of seeing the same face, tired of seeing the same thing day in, day out, and they want something different. And the only reason why we won was because we brought a really, really strong candidate, a candidate that, regardless of how you're feeling about the APC, is one who can deliver and who will deliver, better Nigeria to Nigerians across, which is why we ended up having the majority vote. But it's also a wake-up call for us that we have to do so much more to continue to enjoy the love and the trust from Nigerians across.
Take you back to what the president-elect is expected to do in terms of his economic plan. If you go through his campaign promises, and those who were campaigning for him were always making reference to what he did in Lagos State. You and I know that Lagos State is one state that is bigger than some countries in West Africa. Not just West Africa, in Africa as a whole. But if you look at Nigeria as a country, do you think Tinubu can go around the entire country and probably replicate what he did in Lagos State as a state for the entire nation?
Like you rightfully said, many of us went around campaigning for him. I am number one in the North for campaigning for His Excellency Bola Ahmed Asiwaju Tinubu. And I can assure you that I strongly believe that he would do so much more. He's coming at a time where his only job is to leave a legacy, and a legacy of greatness. So I don't think he's going to take that for granted. He has nothing else to ask of Nigerians but the fact to give him an opportunity to actually make a difference. We've seen it in Lagos, and honestly, Lagos, for me, the way I look at it is rather a lot of talk, let's see, your antecedents and use that to gauge what you possibly will do moving forward. Yes, I believe that Lagos is a good role model for other cities in Nigeria to emulate. I believe that how across board should actually have a blueprint that helps guide the governors, not just giving free hand for people to just come in and do whatever they want to do, because we've seen so far that this is the reason why a lot of our cities are not very developed. I absolutely 110 believe that how, in terms of income generation, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Asiwaju Tinubu would be extremely revitalize the economy, helping come up with innovative ideas to bring in international businesses and investments. Do you understand? He's also going to help us a lot with opening up our ports in other parts of the country so that we can explore exportation. Because one of the biggest problems in Nigeria now is that we consume so much foreign products, but we don't really export as much. Which is one of the reasons why the dollar to the naira is extremely, because all we do is consume foreign products and we're constantly trading in dollars, but we're trading out and not really bringing anything back home. So we need to also look at the export sector in the economy. I think overall, even in terms of infrastructure, Lagos has some of the best infrastructures. I think they just concluded the blue light rail train. So those are the kind of initiatives that we want to see across Nigeria, different cities, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in Calabar, and all the other cities across. We believe that with him on board as a president, he would, steer the ship in that direction. Like they say, whichever direction the head is looking is more or less where the body is going to end up going. So I really believe that under his administration, we would see a lot of positive changes because he's always been that kind of way in, all that he's done. In fact, to be honest with you, I believe that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have made it through this elections cycle. We only made it through as a party because we had an extremely strong candidate. And why do we have an extremely strong candidate? Is simply because he has the antecedents. People, regardless of how upset they are, because I know they really are, they also have to deal with the fact that they trust our candidate. They know our candidate can deliver. Majority of Nigeria's elite exposed population live in Lagos, thriving in Lagos, and they're doing really well in Lagos, completely detached even from the federal government. So I think that's what we want to see replicated across the country.
Coming administration, I can see your passion about it, but Nigerians are very worried concerning insecurity. And I know you fully well that the vice president elect is coming from one of the worst hit region when it comes to insecurity. What will be your 2 cents to the president elect concerning how to tackle insecurity? Because this is very important and it's very crucial to every Nigerian. In fact, this is what has been affecting every developmental stride in this country.
Well, of course, without security, it's not even going to be possible for us to achieve a lot of the things that we achieve in terms of bringing in, international investors, in terms of helping businesses to thrive and people to venture into other parts of the country to, set up or invest or explore. So yes, security is paramount. Security is a very sensitive topic, I think. We all desire a safer society, but then it's also an area that you need to be technically savvy in to be able to explore and say, it is my wish for Nigeria to be more secure. But honestly, I can't tell you that I have the answers to how to make Nigeria secure. All the stuff I'm going to tell you is pretty big. I think that a lot of people who are these crimes are young people who have nothing else to do. So, in my opinion, to create more opportunities for the youth in the rural areas who don't really have much on. Try and even find taking them out of their immediate environment to other environments to train and explore and see that there's more to life just living within lots of these people live in the bushes, the bandits, those are the ones I'm referring to. So maybe we need to find a way to engage these people, because if you have something to live for, then maybe you wouldn't venture into such dangerous exploits as kidnapping and banditry and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I'm not a security expert, so I'm not really the best person to have a plan for. Say, how would you help secure the country. I don't know. It's our wish that Nigeria would be more secure. I believe our president and our vice president, like you said, being predominantly from an area that has suffered a lot of insurgencies, have tried out different methods. I remember while our president was campaigning, one time he met when he first became the governor of Lagos State, and he had a lot of issues with hoodlums and street touts, and how he managed to engage the youth, take them off the street, turn them into last man in Lagos, and all the different ventures that he set up. And that engagement, definitely curbed down the level of street touts and and all the so-called agoros in Lagos. So I'm believing that a similar approach would be used, because obviously if you engage them and you take them off the streets and you give them something else to live for and something else to look forward to, then it takes human beings to do it. So if the human beings are not there to perpetrate these crimes, then I guess that would create a more secure environment. And when the people in the lower income level in the country are comfortable, we need to create actual middle class in Nigeria. This is something we're lacking. You're either doing really well or you're just not quite there. Create a middle class where people are just comfortable. People are able to live their life, be able to get their 3 square meals, be able to send their kids to decent schools. When we're able to achieve that, I think that would also curb a lot of insurgency, because it's people who are kind of desperate and hopeless and don't have a lot to do that go out and perpetrate these crimes.
Let's look at an aspect that concern everyone as far as Nigeria is concerned, which is health. When it comes to the aspect, whether you are at the city center, semi-urban, rural area, you need access to health care. And the statistics, so terrible. Child and maternal mortality, the number of women dying on a daily basis as a result of pregnancy-related issue. As we speak today, 150 women will die. As we speak today, about 230 children will die. And the list is endless. And to tackle these, you need to be deliberate when it comes to the issue of health. Nations that have got it right were deliberate with their policies, and today their client is a destination for healthcare. Here we have a president-elect that does not attend any health facility in Nigeria. What is the possibility that he will not continue to encourage medical tourism?
Okay, so I'll tell you something. I've lived in the UK for many years, and I've lived in America for many years. And one of the things that I noticed, right, and I think is one of the reasons why their societies work so much better, is that how things are modular, things are localized. You can't really sit down and expect a president who's in Aso Villa to be responsible for healthcare in, say, Obonisha, our village. You can't really do that. So we need to have, I like what you said, a national policy that implemented at the local government levels. That's really what we need to take it back down. Because the reality of it is that how the federal government should only create a framework and monitor and supervise that this framework is being implemented. If you want any sector, not just even the healthcare, but the health is very, very important, because like you said, people are dying every day, and the first job of the government is to secure lives of citizenry. So if you're not able to lives, then therein lies the problem. So for me, we need to take it back down to the very basic, to the local governments, to the wards, to the so we need a situation whereby the government is able to adequately create the right framework that says within so and so kilometers we must have a family health care center. These don't have to be huge, humongous buildings. They are not hospitals, but at least they are your first point if you have a medical situation before it's escalated to a bigger facility, maybe say in the capital of the local government if you have a more serious situation. But until Nigeria has a model like this, until the federal government is able to create a framework for all, it's one of I think our major problems in Nigeria is that how every governor runs its own thing. Some do
Princess,
nothing, some do everything. Yeah.
Princess, you know the subject matter is agenda for the president-elect.
Right.
Agenda for the president, and here we're talking about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And from
Right.
the track record we have, I stand to be corrected. I've not really seen what he has done when it comes to health while he was the governor of Lagos State. And so you should tell us if he can be able to support policies that will tackle medical tourism.
See, I absolutely believe that how we will do everything possible to make Nigeria better. Healthcare is one of the areas that need to be. Again, what I'm suggesting is that how everything, for things to work, because Nigeria is a very, very big country, which I'm sure you agree with me. So for things to work, you have to break it down into smaller models. So rather than looking at just the president being one man, we need to look at the whole, we need to look at the country holistically and say, how do we actually achieve things? And how do we achieve things is by making things modular, breaking things down into smaller compartments with like with the president overseeing, or with the federal government, not even the president. Say, for instance, whoever is the minister of health, or our status under that, overseeing what is being done. Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about the federal, assume you're not talking Abuja. I assume you're not talking about just the major cities. I assume you're talking about every Nigerian, because every Nigerian matters. So I'm telling you that I believe that what the APC will end up doing, not just in the healthcare sector, but across all sectors, is making things modular, making things easier to manage by breaking them down into smaller segments that get to the grassroots, which is, at this point, from a federal government level, we would look all the way down to the local
Princess,
government,
we just
making
have
sure
two
that
more
there's
questions. My
representation.
colleague will take those questions.
Right.
Charity covers the National
Okay.
Assembly, and you know what has been said about the current ninth Assembly being rubber stamped. She's going to take you on that, whether or not the 10th National Assembly will be to the president-elect. And Dominic, of course, is concerned about shrinking economy. What can we do? Charity.
For me, I would say the Ninth Assembly is not, yes, it's been called a rubber stamp, but it's just a relationship that got better between the legislature and the executive. So do you see that happening in the 10th Assembly?
Well, to be honest with you, I would honestly say no, simply because more diverse composition. If you look at the ratio of APC, PDP, and now there's YPP. There's a range, there's a variety of different parties. So I would say no. I would say it would still be okay for an APC-led administration, simply because we still hold majority. I don't think it's good for any for Nigeria as a whole, for any any what's it called, for the National Assembly to be considered rubber stamp. I think they're supposed to checkmate the executive arm of the government, and I believe that they have done a good job during this administration, and I believe that in the next administration they will do the same. I don't see my incoming president, he's the Bola Ahmed Asiwaju Tinubu, having any issues, simply because he's a great people person. He knows how to relate. In fact, he's already started to play the role of the leader of the nation, being neutral, not really being as partisan as you would expect him to be, but looking more holistically, as he's not even so much concerned with who has voted for him or who hasn't, but simply how can we make Nigeria great, how can we make Nigeria better. So I believe he would overall have a very, very good work relationship with the 10th Assembly. I don't believe there will be a rubber stamp, because, like I said, it's a variety of parties. It's a composition of everybody from the APC to the PDP to the Labour Party, NMPP, and all the others. So, but I also don't feel that we're going to have any issues with that.
If you are to suggest what the economic team for the president-elect will look like, what will be your blueprint for the president?
Um, for sure, if we have to also look at where we are at currently, where Nigeria is at today. We had some issues with the currency swap. I think that has to. I think we have to put in a CBN governor who knows what he is doing, who is well experienced, and who can clean up this mess that we're in right now. So that I think that's where it starts from. I also believe that how we need to, if of course I believe based on what the Supreme Court the ruling yesterday or day before yesterday simply means that how the currency change is going on, but the implementation was very poor. We have up until December to swap the money or put in the money into the bank so that we can get the new currencies. I feel that how once he comes in, the CBN is a major aspect for him to look into. That's one. Secondly, I feel that how we should explore ways to improve our exports. Do you understand? So we invest a lot more into the agriculture. That seems to be one of the main things that we have. We also have a lot of raw materials. We need to create the right framework to allow so we don't just have people who are coming in and pilfering our, say for instance, we have a lot of steel that the Chinese are taking out. We have a lot of gemstones that are being taken out of Nigeria illegally, even our gold. Some of these things need to be looked into, because if we start exporting properly and generating income dollars from exports, it would definitely help to bring down the naira to dollar ratio. So these are areas that need to be looked at immediately. I also think that we need to invest in the economy in terms of the small to middle income businesses a lot. We need to create the enabling environment where they have access to funding that is not conditioned. Right now, if you go to a bank as a small enterprise, they would give you conditions that if you had the right collateral, if you had all of that, you probably wouldn't even come to them to ask for a loan. So we need to create more enabling environment for the small to medium businesses to thrive, because majority of the societies, even though the
Princess,
countries, majority of societies built
you know,
on
time is not our friend here. Sorry,
right.
We just have to, butt in and say thank you so much for your time with us on the program.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank Nigerians once again for voting for the All Congress, and I want to assure you that we will do our best not to fail you in the next 4 years.
All right, that's the much we have on this discussion segment.